Good evening, America. My name is Jeff Jakeaway. Welcome to this week's edition of the Linguistics Lounge. I have a very special guest here with me tonight. I'm honored to have Miss Jessica Iniguez here with us. How are you doing tonight, Jessica?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Jeffrey.
Well, thank you for being here. Tonight's topic is going to be on language, and Jessica is studying, from what I understand, is a very important person when it comes to linguistics and language, and his name is
Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky. Tell America a little bit more about Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky, he's an American linguist, activist, and philosopher. And to be completely honest with you, Jeffrey, I was not familiar nor educated on who he was and how he has influenced the English language along with other languages that are spoken around the world.
Really, what kind of contributions has he made?
Well, he demonstrated that despite the different languages that are spoken around the world, systematically structured, they're all the same. Like there's one language, and that's the fact that because we are humans.
Gotcha. So is that in relation to like the way humans learn? Like, are we learning a language?
Well, actually, on the contrary, his theory is that you don't actually learn to learn a language. That's just genetically of how humans are and how they work. Everything is based on your environment.
Got you. Got you. So really is what we're exposed to as far as where we are, our environment, our families, what part of the world we're in, that kind of thing. Am I following that?
Yes.
Okay. So, for example, I mean, we've got a pretty big population here in the state of Arizona where people are bilingual, and they're able to speak two languages growing up. I mean, can you explain that? I mean, how's that work?
Well, I'm going to use myself as an example. I speak two languages. I was raised in a home where Spanish and English was spoken, and now that I'm an adult, I don't remember when I learned to speak a language. That's when it goes back to his theory and his theory of being that we're just genetically programmed. Because if you take a minute to think about it, do you remember when you learned to learn the language?
No. Right. Never knew I was learning English. Just learning to communicate.
Because that's what you just like what your surroundings were, how you communicate with other people. Same thing with how animals communicate. Birds use songs to communicate with each other. Bees use movement and dance. So as human, regardless of what language is spoken, we ultimately communicate by speaking a language.
So if I was, let's say, born and lived as a child at a young age in Los Angeles, but moved to, let's say, Boston, would I pick up on that?
That's actually a great example because going back to the society and the environment that you live in, it doesn't matter like what culture, what your I shouldn't say culture, but what race you are. If you live in a society where, Boston, they have their own
way of speaking.
Right. You're gonna grow up speaking how people from Boston speak.
Right, gotcha. Or if I move to the Bronx, I'll talk like a New Yorker, that kind of thing.
But ultimately, it's still a language.
So, do you think that, or do you feel that it's important that we study Noam Chomsky? I mean, do you feel that his
Absolutely. I feel that he's not given the credit that he deserves, and people should get more educated on his views and the fact that the way we speak and our grammar is based on his studies.
Gotcha. Well, Noam Chomsky, we thank Jessica for being here tonight. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Thank you for introducing.
It's been my pleasure. People get educated. Go grab a book, Google Noam Chomsky, and learn a little bit more about him. He's a very interested man. And again, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here tonight. This is this week's edition of the Linguistics Lounge. Tune in for us again. You have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.